I'm really always so blessed when Lex can kind of be around here because it takes the reality of everything that we do as a whole school, and especially the passion that we have for teaching ladies how to defend themselves and the attitudes behind that. It just takes it to a whole nother level. So it really has a great impact on people. So literally this time last year is about when we met, right? Mm-hmm. So less than a year ago. You saw how awesome she looked, right? You know why? She knows the reality of training. So when she, is hitting a pad, she's not hitting a pad. She knows she has a particular face, a particular scenario in mind. I don't even mean to laugh about that. It's just the case. I'm so glad that she has so proactively attacked that demon in life, and thank you for sharing your story with people that it really matters to. Excellent, thank you.
So my name's Lex, and just to give you all some background on me, I'm a graduate of Appalachian State University, so I was a psych major there. In 2019, I was training for my first marathon, so I was doing really long runs, I was outside a lot. So on New Year's Day of last year, the weather was really great. It was kind of like this. It was warm, it was sunny out. I was like, I'm gonna go do a long run, I'm gonna go get my 9-mile run out of the way. So I finished my run, I'm walking back to my car, and I live in Apex. I don't know if y'all have been there before, but 2015 voted the #1 best place to raise a family. So very safe, very nice town. And I went running in a residential area right near Olive Chapel Elementary School, if y'all have been there before. So really safe area, lots of people were out. It's a really busy day, lots of families and kids and people out running. So I finished my run about the front of the school, and so I'm walking back to my car, and I notice someone's walking behind me. And I'm like, okay, there's lots of people out. And I just feel like this person's walking so close. Like, is this person following me? Like, what's going on? And so I'm like, okay, this is weird. So I'm like, I'll just walk faster. So I start to pick up the pace, and I'm like, I just want to get some space from this person. So I kind of cut the corner on the intersection to pass part of the sidewalk. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want this person behind me. So I stand there and I'm like, I'm gonna pretend to look at my phone so this person will just pass me, right? I'm like, this will be fine. So I'm pretending to look at my phone, and I'm standing there and I'm like, too much time has passed, like something's weird. So I look up from my phone, and he's standing, the person who's following me, right here. And so I have this moment of shock, like, why is this person so close to me? And I'm thinking, like, is he gonna say something? Like, is he gonna ask me something? Like, this is so weird, what's going on? And we go from looking at each other for a split second, and the next thing I know, I'm on the ground. Like, he had shoved me so hard, my feet went like almost over my head, like on the ground. We were on the sidewalk, and then suddenly we're in the dirt of Olive Chapel Elementary, like right by where the kindergarten playground is. And so the moment I hit the ground, like, he's trying to get on top of me, putting his hand over my mouth, like touching me, groping me, doing all this stuff. And my brain is just kind of like, what is happening? This is the middle of the day. I literally can see people from where I'm at on the ground, and I'm like, what is going on? So the only thing, I like completely froze, and I'm screaming at him, what the fuck are you doing? Like, are you gonna rape me in front of everyone, like on this playground? Are you trying to kill me? Like, I obviously don't have any money. Like, what is the goal? What's the plan? Like, I just was so confused. I'm like, what is happening? And so, he had groped me and like sexually assaulted me, and then he gets up off the ground, and this was like a very quick altercation, like 30 seconds, which doesn't sound very long, but when you freeze up like that, it's a long time. So then he gets up and he just starts to like casually walk away, just like towards the playground, and I'm like, okay, you've got to be kidding me. And so my on switch was kind of delayed because I get attacked, and the whole time I'm not thinking, okay, you got to fight. I'm just so terrified and so surprised that I just froze. So he gets up, and I'm thinking, that's not okay. Like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. So without thinking, I didn't think about it for a moment, I'm up off the ground and I'm chasing him. I had just finished my 9-mile run, just got attacked, but I was like, I'm gonna chase this motherfucker. So I'm up off the ground and I'm chasing him as fast as I possibly can, and I'm bellowing at him with this voice that I don't even recognize. I was like, come back here, I'm gonna kill you. Like, if I had gotten my hands on him, I was like, I'm gonna kill this person. And he turns around and he looked at me like, so surprised, like, why is this girl upset with me? Like, he just looked so confused. So he's running towards the school, and he very quickly darts and jumps the playground fence. So I stand there for a moment. I'm like, I'm little. I don't think I can jump that fence. So I run back to where I was originally attacked. My phone is on the ground. My headphones are all over the place from like the scuffle. I grab my phone, call 911. Apex PD has nothing to do in our town. So we had probably 4 cops show up within 5 minutes maybe. They brought search dogs to send him and find him. And then because he was at the school, there was security footage around the entire school where he ran away. Now you would think with search dogs, with pictures of him surfacing all over the internet, that we would have gotten him, right? So a year goes by, nothing. And then December of this year, I'm coming home from graduate school, and the detective calls me and she says, we got him. And she says, so I think he's 27, something like that right now. When he was 19, he broke into a woman's home, beat and sexually assaulted a woman, went to jail for 5 years, and then went to a treatment program for 5 years. Now this was in New York, which does not have very strict laws. So he was not registered as a sex offender. So he came to North Carolina. There's no record of him being a sex offender, being a dangerous person. He was on a college campus here in North Carolina as a graduate student. And then after my attack was in January and March of last year, just a couple months after my attack, he broke into a dorm room and sexually assaulted and beat a victim there. So.
That was where?
That was in New York.
In New York.
Mm-hmm. So, and he had a wife as well. And just to give you a description, this guy,
This Kurt has a wife?
He has a wife. Not anymore, but he had a wife, during my attack and this other woman's attack. And I assume she knew about his history as well, so that's pretty interesting. So it is odd with my attack that I was not beaten. I'm not really sure if my shock or me yelling at him kind of like ruined the moment or what that was. But yeah, it just happened to be this very dangerous person who was out that day. I think it was an opportunistic attack. I was probably one of the few people who was alone just because so many families were out, and I'm a small person, so I probably was just the first person who was small and alone who happened to walk by. And so with that attack, the reason I like to share my story is that before that happened, I always used to say, if anyone came at me, like I'd fuck them up, I wouldn't let that happen to me. And then when it actually happens, it's so different from what you expect because it's so shocking, and the fear and the adrenaline and the cortisol that's pumping through your blood, it changes how your brain and your body does everything. So you're thinking right now, like in your normal brain, how everything functions. You think, okay, if I got attacked right now, this is what I would do. But that's not really what you're gonna feel like when it happens. So when you have that much adrenaline and fear in your body, we talk about the on switch. So some people, if you're really, really lucky, you'll go right into aggression. But when you watch most videos of people, that's not what happens. That's kind of the anomaly. Most of us are gonna freeze up, you're gonna be terrified. And your motor movements are really difficult to control when you have that much adrenaline in your body. So the reason Krav works is we do a lot of gross motor movements, so really big motor movements. It's not tricky locks and little fancy things that are gonna be hard for you to do when your body can't move correctly. And so, I think about my attack and I think about the stuff that I learned here at Krav and how different things could have been had I used just a couple of little techniques. So first of all, someone's following me. Why not turn around and say, hey, why the fuck are you following me? But we worry about being nice, we worry about being polite, we worry that we're being crazy, So I very passively just tried to get some more space. But if I kept my eye on him, I could have had an armband up, a fence, I could have done a seatbelt. That would have kept me off the ground probably. And then even just some strikes would have been good. So in coming to Krav, for me it was, I met Darren and I said, I froze up, and he's like, your on switch seems like it came on a little late. And I was like, that's exactly what it felt like. I went from being a normal person to suddenly it's on. Like, I want to go home and I want to live, but also I want to kill this person. And so for me, Krav is not only about practicing getting the movements correctly, but it's about figuring out where your aggression is in your body. Because if you think you can walk around being like a normal, nice person and that suddenly you're just going to be able to switch it on when something happens, you never really know how you're going to respond until it happens to you. And so, maybe some of you will, But even for me, I had thought about stuff like that and I didn't immediately go into aggression. So sometimes when I practice in here, I'm always thinking about, okay, how close is that on switch? Where is it? That's a tool and a muscle that you have to practice using, because it's not just gonna come out because you think you'll have it. And we all have that base level of aggression somewhere in you. It's deeper in other people than some. Some people it's right on the surface. They practice using it a lot, and for others it's really hard to get to. So I would really recommend finding some kind of outlet. Not every town has a Krav place, but I really love Krav because that's something that we focus on. And then another thing that you can practice is, I would encourage all of you to practice being less passive, and you can do this in your everyday life. So if someone is doing something that's making you uncomfortable, if someone is too close to you, if someone's being rude, just practice in your life being upfront, saying what you need, saying what you want, and standing your ground on that. And that sounds so simple, but it's really important because you never know when you might need that. And the more you use it, the easier it'll be to use when something bad is happening to you. And so that's kind of what I wanted to talk about with y'all, and things that I wish someone had told me about before my attack. Maybe it would have changed some things, maybe it wouldn't have, you never know. But I just think that's something that I wish every woman out there knew. And ultimately, no one should be attacking anybody, but that's the reality of our world. It's never your fault that you're attacked. Someone's attacking you. It's not your choice. But there are things that we can do to keep ourselves safe and to get an upper edge, and just to be enough of a problem that they will leave you alone. I don't want y'all leaving here thinking like, I have to be a badass in order to get out of the fight. It's like, no, you don't have. This is not sport fighting where I'm trying to get perfect technique, or I have to be muscular or really strong or super fast. I just have to be more aggressive than this other person. I don't have to punch perfectly if I gouge your eyes out. Like, I don't have to kick perfectly if I'm screaming at you and drawing enough attention from other people, or I've already yelled at you before you got close enough. The guy who attacked me is dorky looking. He is like scrawny and sickly. Like, he does not look like a dangerous person at all. And so, I definitely could have taken him, like, no worries at all. But even if he was really big, a groin kick is gonna bring down the largest guy. It doesn't matter. And so it's just trusting that you have enough aggression in you to bring someone else down. Now, I do have some weapons, because after I was attacked, I was like, I think I need an edge. Like, I'm training here, but I want an edge. So a lot of people have weapons, but they keep them in their purse, they keep them in a drawer. It's not somewhere that you can get to quickly. And realistically, you're probably not gonna see an attack coming quick enough for you to get your stuff out. So I have mace that wraps around your hand. And so if I'm walking around in a parking lot, transition areas are really dangerous. And then on college campuses are always a little bit more dangerous as well. And there's this false sense of security on a campus because you're like, we're all students, we're all young, like there aren't dangerous people, but that's not true. So this is a good one because I have it ready to go, it's live. And then I just have it on my hand and I can just walk around and relax, do what I gotta do, still pay attention, but I have a little bit of an edge. And then all I have to do is move my thumb up, that's it, one movement. And I'd be outside and I'd just practice this. Like, someone's walking by and I'm like, what if they did? How fast can I get my thumb up there? And just practicing that, having it ready to go. The other thing is if I just want to build space and freak people out. I used to work as a bartender, so I'd have to leave at like 3 in the morning and walk through a dark parking lot. Someone's walking like 20 feet behind me on the same side of the street, and I'm like, I just want them to know like I'm not nice. So I would set this off, like just as I'm walking, just to be like, I have shit, don't fuck with me. And he moved to the other side of the street. Like, I don't think he was gonna attack me, but it's just a good idea to be like, hey, I have some extra stuff.
Hey, I'm crazy.
I'm crazy. Like, you don't even know what I have. Like, I might have all kinds of stuff. And then another simple thing that I have is these are called Go Guarded. So it's a ring with like these serrated edges and kind of a knife point. And you just wear it on your finger like that. So when I go running, I have one on both hands usually. And this is good because I think about fights are sloppy. Your body's not gonna work the way that you expect it to with that much adrenaline. So even with just a sloppy swipe, I mean, right on the neck, in the eye, it's just an extra edge. And I don't have to think about it, it's just on me. And I've walked around with these and people are like, is your finger broken? What is that? And I'm like, no, it's a weapon. Like, and you can get these all on Amazon. If you have any other questions, I always stay after class. So if y'all have any questions or want to talk to me, you're welcome to. I'm gonna pass these around. The taser, if you wanna set it off, just turn it to the up position. But I'll pass these around so that everybody can just look at them.
Anybody want to volunteer for the mace?
Get a feel for it. I will caution y'all that I wouldn't rely entirely on weapons, because if you don't have your weapon, then you don't feel safe. And so weapons are just to give you an extra edge, but I wouldn't say that you should rely entirely on weapons to keep you safe. It's just to give you a little something extra, because you never want it to be where, oh, I don't have my weapon, so I'm not safe at all. It's just to give you a little bit more.
Do you know if like any, like just in general, if college campuses have any restrictions on that stuff? Or does it you just like don't care and you just...
I just don't care. They're
Right.
not gonna stop you. So
Right.
I would walk around with that stuff, and people would, like, technically you're not supposed to have it, but yeah. So mace, and I'm pretty sure the stun gun is not technically allowed on college campuses, but no one's ever taken them away from me. And with how rampant sexual assault is on college campuses, to me, you're not gonna take that away from me.
Absolutely.
And with college campuses, a lot of people are living in one space. My attacker, when he tried to use his old card to get into the dorm, and oftentimes, because people are polite, when you go into your dorm, someone might be walking behind you and they act like they live there, and you let them in through the door, and you might have just let someone in, you don't know. But it's really awkward to be like, no, you have to wait, I'm gonna close the door and make you swipe in, like that person's gonna think you're crazy. So it's kind of like, okay, balancing safety for image control as well. So, and all of you, I trust that all of you are aware, like you're women, you've grown up in this world, you know when something feels weird. It's just trusting your gut. Like, I knew on that day that guy was creepy. I had a 2-second interaction of looking behind me and I was like, this is weird. And so it's not just hearing your gut, but acting on it without proof. So I didn't have proof yet that this person was gonna harm me. And so I didn't really do anything about it. But at the end of the day, do you wanna wait for proof that someone's gonna hurt you? Do you wanna be on the ground to know, oh, this person has ill intent? And just to give you all a fun story, I was working in a bakery and I walk out to my car in this parking lot, and one of the new people that was working there, he wanted to ask me out on a date, but he approached me at my car in a parking lot, and I don't know who he is. And so I immediately had my fence up. I was like, whoa, back up. And he backed up like 10 feet. He was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And you know, it's just a simple mistake. Like, if they're a nice, good person who has no ill intent, they're gonna be like, oh, I'm sorry. It's not a big deal. But if they're coming to get you, like, you know then. Because if you do this, back up, and they don't back up, it's like, okay, game on, something's wrong. So it's like, it's okay. I'd rather make a mistake and have someone be like, okay, she's a bit much, than you know, get into another situation that I was in before. And so it's like, I'm a different person because of that attack. Like, I'm never gonna go back to the way that I was before. And in some ways that's better, but at the same time too, it's like, I kind of have a touch of PTSD. Like, I hate people walking behind me. I'm a little bit crazy. And that's just kind of a reality of how this is. So the reason I come here and talk with y'all is, if anything that I say today, like, I hope you'll take it with you and think about it and, you know, really act on your gut and not just listen to it. And you can practice a lot of these things at home. So the seatbelt, like, I'll have my mom and I'm like, okay, try to give me a hug, and I'll do the seatbelt. And practice it with people that you know. Just get that in your muscle memory. I accidentally broke my mom's finger one time practicing something. Don't go that hard, but you know, these are all simple things that you can practice. And so if you get it in your muscle memory, if you get your brain to think that way, hopefully if something ever happens, you're gonna be ready and you can pull it out.
Did the perpetrator get time?
So he was charged with felony attempted kidnapping, which is when in North Carolina you're charged with kidnapping if you try to move anyone from one place to another and restrain them. So because I was moved from the sidewalk onto the ground and then held to the ground, that counts as kidnapping or attempted kidnapping. And then he was charged with felony attempted second-degree forcible rape. And so forcible rape in North Carolina is if you try to penetrate anybody with anything. And then sexual battery, which I think is just kind of a general misdemeanor. You were inappropriately sexual with somebody that didn't want to be. So that's what he was charged with. He's on a $750,000 bond. And so his family would have to put up $125,000 to get out of jail. And then as of right now, I haven't had my meeting with the DA yet, but it's up to me if we go to trial. So usually people don't go to trial because they don't want to testify, but clearly I have no problem talking about this. And he's hurt enough people. I want to, I don't want this to ever happen to anyone. And if I got to take that bullet for these other women who went through worse, like I feel comfortable doing that. And so I think he's going to get jail time. And then they also had mentioned too, he's definitely going to be on the sex offender list because of North Carolina law, so that's awesome. That limits where he lives, where he can work. Probably won't be able to go back on a college campus, which is great. And then they also mentioned that they put lifetime trackers on sexual assault people, like him with such a big history, and that the coroner has to cut it off their body when they die. Like they have it their whole life.
In fact, she just kind of taught the whole women's seminar right there, and I kind of want to bring up some points because in retrospect, when you look at this in 2020, and she says, and I was like, what are you doing? And everybody here goes, he's attacking you. You knew that, right?
Yeah.
You knew that what was going on, but yet she's asking these questions literally, and they're going on in her mind. It was like, what are you, and even yelling at the guy, what are you doing, even as he is doing what, So there we have phrases for that. And of course, she kept using the word freeze, and that's an important part because when we have bad situations, you hear that, fight or flight, right? But the more common one is to freeze, where it's just time kind of stands still, and you're asking, like if the lady on there had a freezing moment where she's like, what is this guy doing? Why is he running at me? Whereas the only piece of knowledge that you need to have is one thing. What is that?
He's too close. Like something's wrong.
Yeah, it's what, and who makes that decision? You do. I'm uncomfortable with this situation. Boom, discussion's over. I don't care what this guy is. I don't care if he's good. And in fact, knowledge, literally, it's like the inner person trying to find knowledge. What are you doing? And you're trying to find some kind of logic to this. But there is no logic because this is a crazy, stupid asshole person, who's doing something. So the only piece of knowledge that you need to have is your comfort level.